Hello, hello, dear friends, food lovers, and those who enjoy the peaceful rhythms of village life. We've just started the day, and the first task is feeding all our little friends who are eagerly waiting for us. This is how mornings go in a village family. One of us is busy milking by hand, while the other makes sure the poultry and livestock get their breakfast. After feeding everyone, we're ready to enjoy a fresh start ourselves, with homemade bread baked by my wife and a delicious cheese spread. Just imagine the smell of that freshly baked bread filling the morning air, waking you up from the quiet stillness of the early day. While my wife makes the final preparations, I'll help by preheating the oven. For those of you who have experience with homemade bread, you know the importance of getting the temperature just right. When the bread dough goes into a hot oven, the heat causes a quick rise. This is known as oven spring, where the dough expands by up to 30% of its original size. This rapid rise gives the bread its light, airy texture. If the oven isn't preheated enough, it can result in a denser loaf, which is very disappointing. So be sure to preheat your oven properly. My wife has already made the dough ahead of time, so we don't have to wait for it to rise. Look at this fluffy dough. It's breathing out the yeast. You can see how soft and elastic it is, which makes shaping it a breeze. The softer the dough, the fluffier the bread will be. If you want to make a softer dough, just add a bit more water or liquid ingredients like oil or milk. Now we'll let the dough rest and rise just a little bit more. This milk, which is boiling right now, will be used later for that cheesy spread I mentioned earlier. Let it cool down properly. Meanwhile, make sure you subscribe to our channel to enjoy peaceful and calming nature in an Azerbaijani village with our family. Like and hit the bell icon. Instead of the classic loaf shape, we've decided to make a ring-shaped bread, kind of like a bagel, but much bigger. For many Azerbaijani or Turkish people, this shape will remind them of simit, a popular street food bread known for its sesame-covered crusts with a soft, fluffy interior. It's a kind of bread that's often enjoyed with a cup of tea or as a quick breakfast snack. While the dough is resting and rising, we'll start preparing the base for our cheesy bread. We'll need a small amount of yogurt as a starter culture. Alternatively, you could buy a starter in the store, but my wife prefers to use the yogurt she made herself. Now, let's cover it with a duvet to speed up the fermentation process. Now, we're ready to move on to the next step with our bread. Let's start shaping it into rings. For that beautiful orange glow, we'll mix some eggs. Organic eggs are particularly known for that vibrant, bright orange color. Let's cover the dough completely in egg. This step gives the bread that bright yellow color and a wonderful golden finish once baked. Now, we'll add some white sesame seeds. I love sesame seeds on bread because they add a delightful crunch and a mild, nutty, slightly sweet flavor. When roasted, that flavor deepens and becomes richer, making the bread even more delicious. The key moment has come: baking. Let's place the bread inside the oven. We will bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until the crust is golden brown and the bread has a lovely hollow sound when tapped. Okie dokie, the lovely crunchy sesame bread rings are ready to show up its golden flow and dizzy you with the smell. For one to resist tearing a small piece of this bread is very challenging. And I am right now that person. But I will wait for breakfast time to enjoy it with creamy, cheesy spread. The first batch of these beauties is ready. Now, let's send in the next batch. The yogurt is ready, and we can see that thick layer of fat has accumulated during the fermentation process. This happens because as the yogurt ferments, the fat separates and rises to the top. Beneath this thick layer of curd, we have that fresh, rich, and creamy yogurt, just waiting to be used. We'll be using a clay jar to make our cheese spread. This traditional vessel helps in the fermentation process because clay is porous and allows for airflow, which is crucial for achieving the right consistency. We fill it with yogurt and a little water, then cover the opening with a cloth. My wife inserts a tube into the small hole in the clay jar and then begins shaking the jar gently. Why shake it? Well, shaking helps promote the separation of the curds from the whey. The gentle motion keeps the curds from settling too heavily in one place, ensuring an even separation. This process helps strain out the whey and leaves us with the rich curds we need for our cheese spread. While my wife shakes the jar rhythmically, I'll put myself to use and brew some fresh tea for breakfast. It's interesting that in these moments, when we truly connect with our traditions, especially now as my wife shakes the jar, I can feel the heartbeat of nature in the silence. It's a rhythm that goes beyond the jar. It's the rhythm of life itself. She's checking the texture of the curds. She wants to make sure they've reached the right consistency, firm but still smooth. If the curds are too soft or runny, they won't make a good cheese spread. So this step is important. Poor Scarecrow. It looks like it's probably the end for him, as the cow won't leave it alone because of the hay inside. If you're lacking similar fun and village charm in your life, you know where to find it. Just subscribe to the channel. Let's see what we have here. Look at that! The curds have separated beautifully. Now my wife carefully strains the curds into the bowl, pressing lightly to separate any remaining whey. This is where the magic happens, and we're almost ready to enjoy the cheese spread. Finally, let's set the table for breakfast. I can already taste this wholesome meal in my mind. If you've enjoyed this heartwarming breakfast routine, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and we'll be sure to bring you more content like this. The cheese spread is so soft. I haven't tasted it yet, but I can already smell the fresh milkiness in the air. We also have some goat cheese on the table for variety. A spoon of sugar and the breakfast tea is ready to go. All right, let's have a taste. Some cheese spread with a drizzle of honey on top. A fulfilling and yummy breakfast indeed. Well, dear friends, we're wrapping up and getting ready to move on with this beautiful day. We hope you've enjoyed this video and that you're inspired to make your own homemade bread. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Until next time, take care and happy baking.